Not Quite Narwhal by Jesse Seema. How are you today, my friends? How are you today? I hope that you're okay, my friends. Oh, deep in my heart and mind, I want to say me too. I hope that you're okay today, and so do I. Red Squirrel, that was really cool. Thank you. I didn't realize you were going to try to harmonize and add a little bit there. Do you want to sing a little bit of another one of my favorite songs? Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is. It's the song from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood where he goes, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?" And you go, "Could you be mine? It's a lovely day in the neighborhood. I didn't memorize the lyrics. Could you be mine?" Would you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you be? Won't you be? Please won't you be my neighbor? Oh, Red Squirrel, thank you so much, especially because I didn't remember all of the lyrics. Do you know why we're here today? I don't know why we're here today. We're here for Ada. Oh, it is the world of May again. Did you know that? I did not. Yeah. Of course, you know, right now there is a lot of worry about the fact that there's a pandemic, right? Yeah. And so we can't do all of our events live. And you might remember that every year there is a beautiful 5K run and a fun walk. And there are so many cool people and events and things that happen, all to celebrate our friend Ada, right? Yep. Well, this year we can't all get together, right? Um, so we need to do this from our homes with each other, and that's why we're recording. And we're going to read this book, Not Quite Narwhal, with Ada for World of May 2020 Move with Mermaids. Isn't that cool? Yeah. And we thought this book would be so wonderful because it's called Not Quite Narwhal. And there might be mermaids in the book. I don't know. I don't know either. But I hope that there is. Anyway, it's so beautiful to be with all of you today. Thank you for singing our first song, which is the song that Mr. Greg always sings. How are you today, my friends? How are you today? I hope that you're okay, my friends. That song. And then we thought, right, let's sing the Mr. Rogers song, even though we hadn't memorized the lyrics. So I really love being with you. And you may realize that I have read this book before on Mr. Greg Reads, but it's such a beautiful and wonderful book. And Ada really wanted to hear it again, so I thought that I would read it again, and perhaps you want to hear it as well. Maybe you never heard me read it the first time. Maybe not. Maybe not. And so we can do it together. Yep. So I'm going to move over to my seat, and we're going to read the book together, and then we'll come back at the end and give... Oh, thanks for helping me out, Red Squirrel. I usually do that with my hand, but you did it with... It's so cool. I didn't even have to do it. All right, I'm going to set you down, okay? Okay. Or do you want to come over with me? No, I'd rather sit here, and then I can watch. Okay. All right. You want to sit on top of the chair? Yep. Is this good? Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. Here I come. Let's read Not Quite Narwhal. And the author of Not Quite Narwhal, as we discussed, is Jesse Seema. Now, hey, here, is a beautiful splash page. The front and back covers, oh, they're different. So on the front cover of the splash page, it's light blue, and there are these beautiful illustrations and butterflies and fish. And there's even a fun inscription which says, apparently this book was a present for a friend named Una. And it says, Merry Christmas, Una. We love you forever, Mom and Dad, which is just such a beautiful thing to put on the front splash page with Not Quite Narwhal. Now I'm going to leave that final splash page now, realizing that it's so cool and different, and now we'll see the cover page. Not Quite Narwhal. There's a fun little fish up there. There's a fun little fish over here. Over here. Kelp was born deep in the ocean. Oh my goodness, in a clam. That little creature's name is Kelp. Wonder what's in that box. I don't know if we're going to find out. He knew exactly and early that he was different from the other narwhals. His tusk wasn't as long as everybody else's. He looks a bit sad about that. And he had different tastes in food. See, the narwhals are enjoying squid, and Kelp thinks it's kind of gross. He looks a little bit worried, doesn't he? And he wasn't a very good swimmer. See, all of the narwhals are such fluent swimmers. And of course, Kelp is wearing swimmies, and he doesn't feel completely apart. But his friends didn't seem to mind, so Kelp decided that he wouldn't mind either. And that's very beautiful, see? He had friends that looked like this, and he had friends and family members that looked like this. And Kelp happened to look like this, and because none of these friends seemed to be worried, Kelp decided, I will not worry either. That is until he was swept away by a strong current. Oh my goodness, in the ocean there are these currents, and they're like very fast rivers. And he says up here, I wish I were a better swimmer. Yeah, being a good swimmer in the bottom of the ocean would be very important. Well, Kelp found himself at the surface, closer to land than he'd ever been before. High up on a cliff, he spotted a mysterious, sparkling creature. And it looked so familiar. It looked like Kelp. Let's get that focused. Kelp swam toward land as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that he would catch up with the creature that looked just like him. When he finally reached the shore, Kelp felt a little bit anxious. Oh my goodness, I felt anxious before. He'd never left the ocean. He was nervous about walking for the first time, but the land creatures made it look so easy. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oof! Oh, he fell. It wasn't. See, he saw the frog, and the frog leap. And he's like, well, I'll try that. Oof! Ow! Oh, wait. Eventually, he got the hang of it. See, he found a lovely, steady-moving, slow but steady turtle. And that is how Kelp learned to walk on land. Everything on land was strange and beautiful, but also kind of scary. Kelp began to think he might never find the creature that looked just like him. But as he stumbled out of the forest, did you see? I love this illustration here because the trees are painted very dark, yeah? And even over here you can see the eyes of perhaps owls, and it looks a bit spooky. But there's this very interesting rainbow-like light that is coming through the illustration. And that's leading us into Land narwhals! Well, that's what Kelp thinks, at least. Actually, we're unicorns, and by the looks of it, so are you. Oh my goodness. What a revelation. I hope Kelp is going to be okay. That is a very large bit of information to process. Kelp had never heard of unicorns before. They taught him all sorts of new things about his tusk. We call them horns. Wow! They can spray rainbows from the horns. And they introduced him to unicorn delicacies. Unicone. Look at that, it's a rainbow icy cone. And they showed him how to gallop. There was no doubt that Kelp was, in fact, a unicorn. He was having so much fun that he did not want to leave. But then he remembered all of his friends under the sea. Kelp missed them terribly. So he said goodbye to the unicorns and returned to the ocean. Come back soon! How beautiful. So Kelp swam toward home as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that the narwhals would still like him now that he was a unicorn. And when he finally arrived, Kelp had butterflies in his stomach. Do you know what that means when you have butterflies in your stomach? It's such a fun and beautiful, but it's metaphorical. That is, there aren't really butterflies in your stomach, but sometimes if you're feeling very nervous and anxious and that you don't know what the people or the narwhals around you are going to think or say, there's a nervousness that almost flutters around your stomach like a butterfly, a flutterfly. Why don't we call it that? Flutterfly in my stomach. Anyway, well, turns out they were all ready. Welcome home, Kelp! Look, the treasure box is open. Are we going to get to look in there? That's just me, Mr. Oh! Kelp took a deep breath. By the way, there is treasure in there. And he told his friends the news. It turns out I'm not a narwhal. Of course you're not. I'm a unicorn. We all knew that. They took it quite well. They knew he was a unicorn the whole time. But Narwhal didn't know. Well, Kelp was, I called Kelp Narwhal, and he is. Look, he has in his shell a picture of his family of narwhals and his family of unicorns. Kelp was so happy to be home, but now that he'd experienced life on land with the unicorns, he couldn't forget them. So now see, these clouds are dream bubbles. That's how you can tell he's not saying anything, he's thinking it. And I love how these bubbles are cloud bubbles. And in the cloud bubble, he's thinking, did he want to be a land narwhal with the unicorns? Or a sea unicorn with the narwhals? He couldn't decide. But then he realized that maybe, just maybe, do you see that? How cool. I wonder what's going to happen. He didn't have to choose. Oh my goodness. See, the narwhals live very close to the land, and the unicorns and the turtles live very close to the sea. So there's no reason that the unicorns and look, the actual butterflies and oh no, do you see what happened here? This is so funny. The unicorns and the narwhals are playing volleyball, but because they have horns, they keep deflating all of the balls. And then, of course, Kelp is creating a full unicorn. And then there are unicorns who have gone a little further out. And of course, they have floaty rings. But some of the unicorns have learned how to swim. And look at this. This narwhal has learned how to leap so far with a unicorn hanging on to their tail. And look over here. Here's a unicorn making a a dolphin or a narwhal out of a unicorn in the sand. And look over here, the crab and the unicorns are playing music and roasting s'mores. And do you see how the unicorns roast their marshmallows? Yeah, they can just put them right on to the horn. Of course, the snow cone unicorn is there. Of course, the turtle is building a sand castle. Oh, that's so beautiful. That is, oh, look at, oh, this would be Mr. Greg right here, just sitting right in the surf, reading a book and watching all of the beauty. And so the final splash page, which I really love, is so Kelp, who is a unicorn raised by narwhals, meets this creature who says, I'm a unicorn. And of course, Kelp says, because Kelp knows that this is actually a rhinoceros, but there's this beautiful relationship of creatures that have horns. And of course, Kelp knows that he had his family into which he was born, and then his family that he came into later. You might call this his chosen family, or the family that chose him. Anyway, so the front splash page was blue, and it had Kelp, and the back splash page is green. And of course, there are the butterflies, or as we call them, the flutterflies. The flutterflies. I like that word so much, Red Squirrel, don't you? I do. And so the beauty here is that I am me. I am Mr. Greg. Yep, you are. And I am very tall, and I have 2 legs, and I have a beard, and I have the color of skin and the fur that I have. And Mr. Red Squirrel, you are who you are. Yep. And we have other friends who look very different to us, and we're all kind of a family with each other, aren't we? By the way, there is Polar Bear. Hi, Polar Bear. Hi. Polar Bear is here and has white sparkly fur. You do. It's very beautiful. And then, of course, you remember our friend Robin. Hi, Robin. Yeah, I know. You're a bird. You're, in fact, a robin. No, I'll tell Ada. Robin wants you to know that he loves you very much. Yeah, Ada will hear that. Okay, you want to go sit back here? And let's see who else is in our family. Who else do we have? Well, of course, Mix Tritch. Hello, Mix Tritch. Hello, Greg. It's beautiful to have you here. Yes, it's beautiful to be here. And Mix Tritch is an ostrich. That's right. And Mix Tritch has a very long neck. And it's so nice to pet that. Oh, thank you. It feels very nice. We have one more friend I'd like to bring out in our family. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, so you can sit over here by Polar Bear. And of course, who could ever forget Perry Platypus? Oh, indeed. Hi. How are you, Mr. Greg? I'm fine. You know you don't have to call me Mr. Greg. You can just call me Greg. Yeah, but I like calling you Mr. Greg. Okay. Can I call you... What do you want me to call you? So you're Perry Porcupine. Mr. Pine? Ooh, I like that. All right, Mr. Pine. Would you like to sit with the rest of our family? Okay. So we have all of these creatures, including me, in our little family. And we're also very unique. And together we make such a beautiful family. And we have our we have family members who look like us, right, Polar Bear? Yeah. So Polar Bear will have family members who look a bit more like Polar Bear. But then you have family members who look like me, right? And we look very different. And Mix Tritch has family members who perhaps look more like ostriches. Just like Kelp was born underwater with narwhals. And it turns out that came to a point where found out that, in fact, he was a unicorn narwhal, a uniwal, a narcorn. I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful, unique creature, as you are, as I am, as we all are. And Ada, and by the way, Wilhelmina and Una, and John and Katie. It is such a pleasure to hang out with you and to have had the opportunity to become a community member and a team member in Team Ada, in the world of May, as it were. And I'd like to think that Not Quite Narwhal is also in the world of May. Anyway, I really appreciate having you all here with me. I love Yinz so much. And there'll be more Mr. Greg's reads. I mean, you could even go find other Mr. Greg reads. Like if you want to just hear Mr. Greg reading with Red Squirrel or with Mr. Pine or with Polar Bear or with Mix Trich or with Robin. Sometimes even my pets, my pet creatures. I have a dog who is a pet, a live pet who I don't have to manipulate as a puppet. I have a bunny rabbit, several cats, and sometimes you meet them in the Mr. Greg Reads. Okay. Have a wonderful day, happy week, happy hour, happy minute, happy right now. How about that? Everybody, happy right now. Happy right now.